This video, I'm going to show you the 7 phases of business. So the first phase when we come to start a business is the launch phase. So when we're launching a business, it's really important that we're getting feedback from your audience or your potential customers by maybe doing like a little launch, like in a soft launch first, to just kind of make sure that you're on the right track. What a lot of people do, they go for a full launch, and what happens? Only to find that people don't want to go with their business, and there's a challenge. A lot of businesses fail because they're always trying to predict what the market wants, when actually what you need to do is launch a business in a small scale, get the feedback, and basically it's constantly relaunching. So that's the first phase when we actually launch our business. The second stage is the growth phase. So when you're actually growing your business, you'll start to see signs of products that do really well. So for example, when I first started, I started in real estate. When I was buying houses, the buying and selling, buying and renting, buying and flipping to investors, HMOs, and the ones that I did, the ones that tend to stick was my buy to lets. So I built this multi-million pound property portfolio that pays me money every single month. So instead of me having to focus on all the other strategies, that one for me was the growth phase. So then my goal was, well, how do I buy more of these? How do I get my hands on more of these? The growth phase, out of all the products that you sell, which one's having the products or services, which one's got the most traction? Which do people want the most? And the problem with what most people do is they try and sell everything to everyone. If you're everything to everyone, you're nothing to no one. Okay, the third stage of business is what I call the stakeout. Again, it's similar to what we said before, but actually looking and lasering in on what is actually working. So I'll give you another example. In my events company, so we run a lot of different events. So we run events to do with real estate, stock investing, speaker training, social media marketing, and entrepreneurship. So if you look at all of these, our top selling ones is real estate and social media, right? They always sell out. When I'm staking out, when I'm looking at all my products, I'll kind of want to like sniper in on the ones that are doing the best and that produce the best results. A lot of times when people are kind of, in the stakeout phase, they actually create more stuff and they haven't tested or grown or launched any of that stuff before. They're just trying to add new stuff in and try and grow it in the normal way. And you can't do that not unless you have specific steps to actually take that to the next level by testing it beforehand. So don't just add new products to the arsenal. Make sure that you're actually taking the ones that's already doing well and just doubling down on them. The fourth phase is the maturity phase. So this is when your business starts to mature a little bit. Like people start knowing you in the market. They've kind of heard of you before. You've been around for a while now, but not too long, that just enough for people to go, oh, I know this business exists. And isn't that true with every brand? Like you kind of hear about it and then you get to know it, and that's how it comes on your radar. So that's the whole point of getting onto people's radar. That's why social media marketing is so important, because you're constantly on that person's radar, right? You're literally within distance that they know you exist. When your business starts maturing, then you kind of can predict the market as well. So for example, in my events company, I know that if I market an event, I know how much people are going to pay for a ticket. I know how much people are going to come to an event and how much it's going to cost me to run the operation. I know how much staff that I need to go into that. So I kind of already know a lot of the stuff, and it's kind of, it's intuitive now because it's become a part of our DNA. Okay, the fifth phase is the expansion phase. That's how we expand our market. So for example, again, if I come back to my property, I just started looking at how was I finding more of these properties. So a lot of these properties I was getting from estate agents. So at the time I had like less than 5 or 10 estate agents. And I thought, well, if I can have 100 estate agents or 500 estate agents or 1,000 estate agents, then maybe I'll be getting more deals. And sure enough, the more estate agents that you get hold of, the more people that start ringing you with deals. And that's what started happening. So we started expanding that, and I start recruiting a team to help close my deals for me. So instead of me closing all the deals now, all the leads that came in, all the sales that came in, I started expanding it. So instead of having now one way to find deals, I started, instead of just doing estate agents, I then go to auctions. I would find a lot of repossession deals. I would start having referral partners and people that would go out and source deals for me. I would start using Google advertising, radio advertising, leafleting, newspapers. So I started literally, it's what we call the force multiplier effect, where you multiply what you're doing. And so you just do more of what works to bring more in. And that's how you grow it, literally grow it to the next level. Like you take a concept that works, that works and converts, and then only you scale. You don't take what works and then scale it without it converting. You must convert first. Okay, the 6 phase of business is the peak. So there'll come a point where you're saturating the market out. So for example, one of our first events that we ran was a property education. So, we've marketed it so much that the market started getting burnt out. So we had to stop it for a little bit and then change to something else. So then we went from property to speaker training. training. So we started to teach people how to do public speaking, how to present, how to do leadership skills, how to sell and pitch your products at the same time, how to close sales. And then we got into sales training. And then so it's kind of like this cycle. If you look at trends, the fashion industry especially, like if you look at what people used to wear in the 1950s, there's kind of a variation of that now, isn't there? People are wearing these funny, these bright, like patterns and these hats and these scarves. And it's like, that's how fashion is. In the old days, you used to wear these really nice, suits, and then it evolved to these trendy skinny suits, and you've gone back to these normal suits, and now these fitted tailored suits. So trends come in stages, and you got to look at what stage you're in. So when you get to that peak, notice when you're bottoming out on the market, notice when your market's getting saturated, where you're getting less leads and less sales coming in. That's when when the sales start slowing down and you've tried everything, you've innovated new marketing techniques. That's when your market is kind of coming to a halt and you need to pivot into something else. Okay, the 7th phase, this is what we call the decline phase. So when your business is declining, again, you're losing customers, you're losing market share, you can't charge as much anymore. It's a lot harder. You're having to work 3 or 4 or 5 times harder to get the clients. So this is another way you want to think about how things are done, because if you think about how most people, stay with the business, they'll stay in it forever and they'll keep doing the same thing over and over again. If your business is declining, make sure you switch it up a gear to something else. I'll give an example. So there was this company called upto, and they used to do these covers for like bikes, like a motorcycle. They've got a little thin film on their seat, so when it rains it protects the seat. So when their market started to decline, they pivoted into another market. They pivoted into the condom market, right? So they created a condom called 0.03 millimeters. So the condom is only 0.03 millimeters thick, so it's very thin. So they took the same technology from the seat and turned it into a condom, and then the business went like this. So they pivot into another market, and that's what I want you to start thinking about. Right? Think about what markets can you pivot into if you're declining. So by the way, if you got a lot of value from this, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn on bell notifications, or make sure you follow me or subscribe depending on where you're listening or watching this on, so you don't miss out on all the brand new content that I'll be creating for you. And also as well, make sure you hit the like button as well. There's the like button where you're watching this from, and also leave a comment and let me know, what are some of the phases that you've been through that you can relate to. If you've got any questions, leave a question. Maybe if you're listening to on the podcast, make sure you go to one of my channels and leave a comment on one of my videos, and I'll go in and answer your questions there. So this is John Lee, the author of Business Hack. Look forward to seeing you in the next session. Bye for now.